Hey everybody, today I'm going to be showing you another weird system I own. In this case, a literal old cash register / POS terminal that I have Windows on. So this right here is an IBM SurePOS 4840 model 543. Basically, I think that's what you could probably call it because it's 4840 543. It's a SurePOS 500. Yeah, they call these SurePOS because these are POS terminals, which is funny because if you're pissed off, you could probably call it a, but yeah, this is an IBM POS terminal. Right here is the front panel. This is actually where the hard drive lies under, along with the LEDs. I've got this on an titanium as a table right now. Well, on top of the table, but yeah, because the titanium's too heavy to move. But this thing will fit on lots of counters and whatnot. I've got the front panel here, but I do not have the, I don't have the back panel on right now, but I have the back panel. Here's the power switch and floppy drive connectors, along with the USB and PS2 ports. There's a side vent. This screen actually is tiltable. And, yeah. Here's the audio jack. There's a black jack and a green jack, but the green jack is not audio out. I think it's probably audio in or something, which is funny because why would you be recording fire mixtapes on a cash register? What are you, slacking off? Get back to work. Alright, so let's get to the back of this thing, because the back of it is a bit interesting too. Here's the exhaust fan. Well, actually, it's a grate right over the box heatsink. It uses a base aluminum, no copper, a base aluminum heatsink. I don't think it has copper at all, but it has a little box heatsink common with socket 478 systems at the time, because this is a socket 478 system. Here's our Ethernet port, probably some Cisco style serial ports. Here's So right here on our back, we've got our Cisco style serial ports, a printer port, some other ports. I think these are special cash register like proprietary ports, but we've got ourselves a proprietary serial port for the display on the back. We've got ourselves a VGA port, Ethernet. Like I said, those are the Cisco style serial ports, but interestingly enough, we've got our 12 and 24 volt USB. Now the bottom part's still 5 volt, but you plug in a special device with the top pins and it will power it. So this means that it will not blow out any old USB device you use with this thing, which is nice. So you can plug a flash drive in or a keyboard or mouse in and it will not blow those up by plugging them in. Like you might think with a 24 volt, you might be like, oh no, if USB's 5, this will blow it up. No, it won't. Because it uses those as auxiliary power pins. The more you know. So I've just plugged this thing in. I actually do have the correct L-angle power cable that this machine would use if I were to put the back on, but since I'm not using it in like a public place, I'm leaving it off for now. So let's turn the thing on. We're going to go to the side here and push this button. It's a white power button because it's an IBM system. And like a lot of systems, it actually blinks the power LED twice until it boots. So we've got our specs here. It's got 512 megs of DDR1. We can actually put up to 2 gigs in here probably because it's an i845 system. We've got a 160 gig Western Digital 7200 RPM hard drive. We're going to tap twice. It's a Celeron 2 gigahertz, your typical old school Celeron CPU from like the Pentium 4 era. And this is where it's a little interesting, is the BIOS. So the BIOS on here, we've got touch controls. Now, there's actually a really good reason for these touch controls to exist. It's because these systems, you could put this in like a fast food, because this actually came from like a fast food restaurant. You could put this fast food like restaurant or like old school sit down restaurant like computer here with no keyboard because you don't need one. You're just punching stuff in. Oh, you want to order an extra value meal? Punch, 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 punch. That's what you do. They're designed to be easy for fast food employees to operate. There's no keyboard or any of that. Well, the problem is, what if you have to get into the BIOS? Well, that's why you double tap, and that's why you have touch controls. So you can go boop, 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 enter. And we can see what temperature our CPU is running at. I actually repasted this with Arctic Silver 5, so it's ice cold. Let's exit. And it doesn't work the best either. And quit without saving, yes. So they do this so that you can, if you have to like change something with the system, you don't have to like take the whole thing out. You can actually just, and right here you can actually see the postcodes. But they made it that way so that you don't have to do all this fun stuff just to get, I don't know, get like into the BIOS or change settings or whatnot. Yeah, they made it nice for that reason, and of course it's a Word BIOS, so you're gonna get the same old screen you're used to. I'm gonna turn on my speaker. I got plugged in. So this display is an 800 by 600 LCD, and it's not the highest quality. I mean, image-wise it is, but like blur, latency, it's not the best. But, so if you want to do like high-res stuff on it, ain't the best. I'm going to turn that speaker down a little bit. As you can see here, I'm a bit close to this machine. But, yeah, I could either use the mouse or I could run games on it. Now, of course, Solitaire. Classic. And I'm playing it with the touchscreen. Let's be honest here, when you were a kid, I bet you wanted to do this with a touchscreen. You wanted to buy a touchscreen so you could just play Solitaire with it and do fun stuff, because I sure as hell did. And what else can you say? It's Solitaire. And it makes a little beep sound when you tap on it too. What else can you say? It's Solitaire. So let's talk a little bit about how this touchscreen works, because that's a bit interesting. So this touchscreen is, I'm actually going to use a second hand here. It's an infrared touchscreen, so if we look at the corner, there's actually a whole infrared grid. And the screen is flat. Now why is this the case? Well, if you got gloves on or something, resistive touchscreens don't work as well. So it's only single touch, but you can use anything you want. You want to use this? I mean, it's not the best, but you can use a tube of thermal paste to play Solitaire. You want to use your watch? It'll work. It'll work. You want to use your mouse? Okay. And that's the principle behind infrared touchscreens. So that you can be wearing anything and it will work. So here, see? You can be wearing anything and this infrared touchscreen will still work. And this is actually an ELO touchscreen, as you can see by the logo. You know, remember when ELO would have all these touchscreens in public places and you were a kid? And it was the coolest thing. Because I wanted one of these ELO touchscreens when I was a kid. And now with the power of this junk being worthless, I can get one. Cool, isn't it? I don't know, with Solitaire. So let's load up a game on here. Thing is, with this GPU, is I'm actually going to run DXDiag. As you can see, it's an 845G from Intel. Classic video chipset that was common if you were a kid and your parents bought you like a cheap Dell Dimension, and that was all you had. I mean, pixel shaders, it couldn't do that. So newer games are off limits, but older stuff or kids games you could play on here. And then even Lego Star Wars started requiring freaking DirectX pixel shaders. But looky here. Ray Storm on a cash register, gamers. Looks quite good on this display. I mean, there's frame rate issues, of course, because the Intel GPU is not the finest. But it runs. You want to play some old games on here? Well, you can. I actually used to have MAME running on here years ago. When I had this thing first set up, I'm like, you know what I'm going to do? I'm going to run MAME. And this was before MAME got like too bloated. So you could actually run like Dudonpachi Daioju on here. And it would work great. You could probably still run a like Toho 6 or something old like that. You could probably still run like Toho 6 on here or something like that. Or those types of games, but you want to play like Ray Force or Ray Storm or something like that, this will run it. And it runs it decent because this keyboard's really crap for playing this game on, by the way, but you can play it on here. You want to play old games? This is what you do, you can play them on here. And I'm gonna quit. I'm gonna quit this with Alt F4. But yeah, here you go. It plays games. You could I think you could run Half-Life on here too, or Unreal Tournament 99, or Quake 3. I just installed this game to be a bit different from everybody else running the same old games. So yeah, let's turn it off. Quick demonstration of a POS terminal I'm using as a computer. Fun stuff. That's what being a nerd's about, having fun.